Humidity already making its way into parts of Michigan as of Monday evening. These are the current dew points as of about 7 p.m. Now, notice on the southwestern part of the state, we're seeing a lot of that humidity coming on in. Notice we have dew points ranging in the lower 70s in some cases. Now, anything over 70 is considered pretty tropical for Michigan, so this is thick. We're really feeling it. Notice on the east side of the state, we still have lots of dew points down in the 50s. Off to the north, we have lots of 50s as well. That's pretty comfortable. That's not bad at all. Even some areas down in the 40s. Notice the western part of the Upper Peninsula, though, we're starting to tap into some of that humidity also with those dew points going into the 60s, and it's only going to get worse, unfortunately. Once again, here's the rapid refresh forecast system. Now, right above my head is the scale. You can see it goes from the 50s to the 70s. The darkest greens are going to be the most moisture, the most humidity in the atmosphere. So this is doing pretty well. In fact, it might actually be a couple degrees behind what we're actually seeing. So I think this model is going to work out pretty well for us. As we go into your Monday night, we're going to keep things pretty much right where they are. Into Tuesday, though, look at that. Lots of dew points in the 70s, even all the way up into northern lower Michigan. So that's a lot of humidity. We're really going to be feeling it. Even though temperature-wise we won't be that hot, it's going to feel a lot hotter when you factor in that humidity. And did you know that the air temperature can't go below the dew point? It can't. So therefore, overnight lows are going to be very, very warm. Now, this is the dew point, which means dew forms at this temperature. So get ready for a lot of water on your car in the morning, wet grass, things like that. As we head overnight into your Wednesday, look at that. Lots of dew points in the middle 70s coming our way. That's about as high as it gets for Michigan. But notice here, you see this sharp drop off? That's the storms feeding off the humidity and raining it out right over us. So you'll notice a brief reprieve in the humidity, but I mean brief. By the time we get into Thursday, look at that. It's already going back up into dew points in the 70s to the south. The UP, though, we're golden. We're looking pretty good, pretty comfortable. By the time we get into Thursday, we'll get some humidity coming through here and there, but nothing like down to the south. And even into the overnight Thursday into Friday as our next round of storms comes through, look at that. We're back up into the 70s for a lot of us with more fuel for those storms. So like I said, temperature-wise for some of us, it's not going to be that hot, but what really breaks it is the humidity, of course. So look at the UP. This is Tuesday afternoon. We're just hanging out in the 70s, maybe in some cases the 60s, northern lower, upper 70s to about 80, and then we have some middle 80s down to the south. But again, you factor in the humidity and it will feel hotter. As we go into your Wednesday, we got a warm night right there. Look at those air temperatures. Some of us could be heading up to about 90, 92 degrees down to the south, while we have 70s to the north. And then you got that sharp drop with those storms coming through there. Heading into your Thursday, once again, we have some lower 90s to the south, 70s and 80s further off to the north. So here's what everyone's been waiting for, right? The heat index, the feels like readings. This factors in temperature, humidity, wind, all that kind of stuff. So here's what it will feel like Tuesday. A lot of us headed up into the lower 90s for those heat index down to the south. Then you see those little blobs forming. That's where the storms are helping with some rain-cooled air. And as we go into your Wednesday, that heat index is getting very high again. Look at that. A lot of us down to the south could be topping 97 to 103, 104 degrees. It is really going to feel like it. So if you work outdoors, please take breaks, wear light colored clothing, stay hydrated, all that jazz. As we head into the overnight, we get our brief break again right there. But Thursday, there's that heat index coming right back in, primarily along and south of 96, could be anywhere from 90 to 100 degrees for the heat index. Then those storms bring in rain-cooled air right there for us. And then into Friday, we're going to start that warm-up yet again. So please be safe in the heat. It is not something that you want to mess with. It is our first round of the season. Again, it's not anything that's going to set records for us, but it's going to be pretty hot out there. So just make sure you be smart, stay hydrated, that kind of stuff.